Howdy Neighbors, and welcome back to our life. Last time we started step 3. Now let's see. Let's go right in the middle. Talks. Another placid summer day was drifting by. Your daydreams were chasing each other, none sticking around long enough to become a firm plan. But you really didn't mind that right now. A tapping worked its way into those dreams. Focusing more, you realized it was coming from your window. Grin popped on your face as you thought, as though it had been waiting all day for this moment. Into the window, you could see Cove outside. His habit of climbing this way really is a true Cove-ism. You either scale your house and wait a couple extra minutes for you to come down. You held out a hand for him. You offered Cove a hand to help him in. As he was mostly inside, he took it to help steady the last bit of his entrance. Though considering how many times he's done this, he hardly needed the help.
Hey.
Hey. Hi. Why do you make it in today? Cove laughed at that and took one last look at his exclusive entrance. He hummed with a teasing look on his face. Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive that I managed to keep this up without ending up with a new broken bone. Oh no, don't joke about that.
Sorry,
I promise it'll be alright. His voice came out quietly, with a strangely pleased smile on his face. Something happen? Cove opened his mouth to answer, only for your phone vibrating to cut him off. You both turned to where it was rested, a little further up on your bed. It was still face down, so you couldn't see who was calling. It's okay. You danced a shot back to Cove. He smiled at you awkwardly.
don't worry about it.
Go check, it could be important. I'll wait. Thanks. You shuffled forward and scooped the little noisemaker in your hand. You flipped it over and checked the caller ID. It's Miranda. Oh, you should answer it. I want to say hi too. You nod, you accepted the call and sat at the speaker. Hi, Miranda. Hi. There's something off about her tone. Cove met your gaze, and you saw the same confusion in his expression.
Have you heard from Terry?
Have you heard from Terry at all? Or did you hear about her from Cove? No, she hasn't called me, but Cove is with me right now. Hey. Oh, hi, Cove. Is that what you were going to say? He shook his head no. Oh. You're going to say? She just no before realizing it wasn't a good enough answer for one person who couldn't see it.
No.
No, Terry hasn't called me today either. Something wrong? At that, Miranda couldn't hold herself together any longer. Ruffled thoughts on the other side of the line were unmistakable. Terry doesn't like me anymore. If she ever did. What? That doesn't sound right. You're probably her best friend out of all of us. Yeah, why would you think that? She stifled, and there was a pause as you could hear her shift the phone to her other hand. Terry was here the other night watching movies with me. We were up super late. She realized her parents probably went to bed, so they couldn't pick her up. My mom and dad were definitely asleep then. Dad works early. I tried telling her that it was okay to spend the night and she could text her parents what happened, but Terry really didn't want to. Bless that Cove. He looked equally unsure as you about where the story was going. What was happening. It didn't sound like a friendship-ending situation. I suggested things to make it easier if she was nervous, like she could sleep by herself in my room if I stay somewhere else. Yeah. And so we didn't have to sleep at all. We could have kept watching movies until one of our parents woke up. I wouldn't have minded. I know not everyone can do sleepovers, but Terry wouldn't tell me what was really wrong or what I could do to help. I thought we could tell each other anything. Guess I was wrong. Did she stay in the end?
No.
No. We got chilled out in the kitchen and my dad woke up. He offered to drive her home when he heard what was wrong. She texted me apologizing for my dad having to do that when he needed rest, but that was it. She doesn't talk to me anymore. can hear every bit of the tears and heartbreak in Miranda's voice. It continued to shock you. This continued to be a shock for your neighbor. But Cove recovered and spoke gently. I'm really sorry.
I mean,
There's no way Terry wanted to make you feel bad for this, or that she's just done with your friendship because of this. Miranda's sniffling continued. I hope she had plenty of tissues handy. It'll be okay. It had to be. You couldn't imagine any alternative. Miranda's voice sounded a little bit more collected after finishing her story, but you knew that the crying was far from being done. I thought she would have reached out to one of you by now. Maybe she's not talking to anyone. Yeah. Sorry for bothering you and Cove about this. You're not bothering us.
right.
Alright, you can tell us things. Thank you. Her shaking voice finally conveyed a little optimism, or at least relief that she wasn't dealing with it entirely on her own.
Is that all right?
If you do hear from her or anything, can you let me know if she's alright? We can. Thanks. Talk to you later, okay? Bye. Bye. Bye! That didn't seem like an especially productive point to end the call, though you weren't sure where to go from there. Looking to Cove, his face seemed as lost as yours. In the alternative, you hung up and put your phone back on your bed. Cove crossed his arms, a frown creasing his face. He began to pace the length of your room, clearly trying to put the pieces together in his head in a way that made sense. Pretty confident about this working out well. Your word. When his head of a drink, you stared at the ground. Your Miranda so distraught like that was not easy. You were Terry, and certainly was tearing you up. Empty state of your head before learning this was not helping you now. You couldn't put two thoughts together, and flopping back on your bed, you stared in his face. You should probably try calling Terry. Cove's voice managed to drag you back to some grounding. He stopped pacing. You still saw a perturbed look on his face. Yeah, I'm worried about it too. He glanced up and moved to his side, ready to act on whatever plan you two could come up with. Cove started with the easiest thing. Pulled out his phone and called Terry. Cove let it ring and ring and ring and ring. Terry didn't answer. There wasn't even an option to leave a voice message. Shoulder slumped and Cove looked even more troubled, if that was possible. He turned to you as if for some lifeline. Could you try calling? I'm gonna send a text, just like, hey, I was trying to reach you, call me, or something. Yeah. You took up your phone once more. Fortunately, after another set of intermittent rings, the line went dead. No answer, no voicemail. Hanging up, you saw Cove visibly deflated. He rubbed his arms, eyes distant, openly struggling with the whole affair. I don't like this at all. They're fighting. Barely know anything. We're supposed to just wait and see? Despite it only being 1 minute since he texted Terry, Cove checked his phone again. He was desperate for progress, for something. You frowned as you watched him. He tried to relax. Cove stared hard at the screen as though he was trying to will a message to appear. As the words sank in, his gaze slid over toward you. Just a little bit. Come on to work yourself up. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath and released it slowly. It wasn't much, but you could see him ease up slightly. Yeah, you're probably right. Cove was still gripping his phone with both hands, as though it might fly away if you let go. He looked at you with almost painful earnestness. What should we even say if we hear from one of them? His pacing resumed, as he attempted to answer his own question. We should probably tell them to talk to each other instead of only us, maybe? He slowly came to another halt, like a gear winding down. Tell them to work it out between themselves, that's all. I always had to come up with things. We should find out Terry's side of the story. Nothing could be done until you knew what she thought of this. That much was certain. Cove nodded slightly in agreement. For several minutes, you both remained there in silence, drowning in your thoughts. Eventually, Cove turned around. I'm gonna text Terry that we already know what's going on. Maybe she'll have an easier time talking to us if she knows. Oh, because she won't have to pretend to explain. It was alright to admit, she felt too overwhelmed to say anything. And it didn't say it was alright to admit she talked to us. Miranda called you, asking if Terry had opened up about it. And she told us what would happen in private. She didn't know if Terry would be okay with any of that. That doesn't make it fine to do that to her. Terry isn't talking to Miranda at all. If you want to tell Terry, we could still talk to Miranda about it first.
I get it.
We could, but if Miranda wanted to keep it a big secret, then she should have just said it. And if she does want to hide it, I don't know what we should do. I don't know what to say next. You said your voice got caught in your throat as your thoughts were pulled in too many directions. Cove took your silence as a go-ahead. Fuck. His fingers worked furiously, yet carefully. He was giving his full attention to his words. He settled next to him and looked, trying to watch what he was writing. Cove rapidly typed out, "Hey, Viola and I really want to talk to you. Miranda told us what happened. Please reply back." Sent. It was done. We'll see what happens now. It'll definitely be alright, Cove. Things are okay. You gave your best smile in the hopes of cheering him up. He gave you a weak smile of his own in return. I hope so, I really do. A small noise escaped his lips. All the frustration of the situation crumbled away from his face and he spoke softly. Thanks, Viola. I'm glad it's not just me with all this happening. Cove took one last look at his phone, then put it away. His effort at a smile was meager, but earnest.
It's okay.
We could just forget about it for a while. Terry will talk to us when she wants to. Smile just a little bit. Even the slightest lessening of tension between you and Cove was working wonders on your shaking heart. Last thing any of you needed was more division among your friends. The silence stretched out for what felt like hours. It likely wasn't long before there was a knock at the bedroom door. Mom peeked in. Just wanted to check in on you. Oh, Cove, when did you get here? Ooh, Mom looks mad. When she saw you were there, she opened the door all the way. Ma was standing there as well. She slipped past her wife and came inside your space. What's going on? Okay. It's just Miranda called earlier. She and Terry are fighting, but none of us can know what's going on with Terry. Parents exchanged a meaningful look, though its meaning was lost on you.
I'm so sorry.
That's too bad. You had this trouble with your friend, sweetie. Is there anything we can do to help? With the corner of your eye, you saw Cove rub his arm awkwardly, unable to add anything. No, we're just waiting to see if Terry calls or texts, or if Miranda does. Well, we can at least help you get your mind off things while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Another great idea, Lonnie. We can get the whole gang together for some quality time. Yeah, it'll be wonderful. I'll go see what Liz is up to right now. Excited, she fluttered a few steps away, then stopped. She pivoted on her heels and raised a single finger, flashing a big smile at Cove.
It's no trouble.
Of course, Cliff will be welcome too. Knowing your family was always there for you, that couldn't be an understatement. In fact, it meant everything to you that your moms cared so much. Thanks. Thanks. It's nice of you.
You're welcome.
You're both very welcome. Don't sweat it, not so kiddos. Leave things to us. Just relax, and we'll call you when it's all together. Your nod and your mom's disappeared for now, springing into action for their impromptu get-together. You flopped down in your bed, feeling like you could sink into it and disappear. Cove, meanwhile, took a spot in the chair off to the side. You sighed at the same time, and Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. He gave his phone another quick check, and his eyebrows furrowed. Still nothing? Yeah, this is crap, huh? Yeah. Cove chewed the inside of his cheek, as if to mimic the stress that was clearly eating away at him. Cove, what's wrong? What's really wrong? When disagreement doesn't make you act like this. That got a pointed pause in his movement. Cove was carefully trying to put his thoughts together. He spoke in a fragile voice. When people you care about, when they're unhappy with each other, there's nothing you could do. At least when you're in a fight yourself, you have some responsibility, some control over it. I wish it didn't have to happen, but that's not possible. So well, guess. His attempt at giving a nonchalant shrug after that was pitiable. It's true, but you're right that it can't be helped.
I know.
He replied like he could barely muster the strength to speak. Well, we just have to focus on things that we can impact, or at least try. He turned to Cove, hoping your eyes conveyed the message that you were feeling better than your words. He gently nodded. His gentle nod told you that they did. It was a question you had to ask. It's because of what happened with your parents? Cove ran a hand through his hair. A strange smile spread across his face. For him, this pain struck close to his heart. As quickly as it had come, his smile was gone, lost amidst to his faraway gaze. Yeah, you got it. It's like my parents. Despite knowing him for so many years, Cove had never spoken of the years before he moved to Sunset Bird, before his parents separated in any detail. He whispered his thoughts distantly, almost unconcerned on whether you could hear them or not. They used to fight all the time. I thought they would get along when I was a baby. I mean, they had to have wanted to be with each other at some point, but when I was old enough to remember anything, it was already bad. There was always something wrong, and I could never help. I just wanted them to be happy. Try to imagine your mom's breaking up, and the very idea scared you. But Cove had endured all that for real. I'm sorry. Viola,
Don't worry
it's okay.
about it.
Despite the revelation, Cove gazed reassuringly at you. It's not like that anymore. Things are different now. I don't even really think about it. Again, the sorrow reasserted itself. When he continued, you could barely hear him. Though I guess it's pretty obvious I haven't forgotten either. Across the room, took his hand. He shot out of his seat as you approached, but didn't resist as you gently took his hand. Your head fell on his shoulder, and you squeezed his hand reassuringly. You saw him watching you with glossy eyes. Then Cove sighed contently, his mouth pulled into a soft smile. Wordlessly, you knew that he understood, felt at peace with him there. You gripped your hand back. You knew he felt it too. Two of you took a seat again, but this time side by side on your bed. Dots. Today was a lot, huh? Yeah, it was. He sat there contently. After everything today, you felt a sense of relief. The two of you still had one another. No matter what happens, we can make it work together. His mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. You chuckled.
Me too.
I think so too. He couldn't sit still anymore. He leaned in. Ew. Ew! He leaned in, delicately pressing his lips to your forehead, and he raised one free hand to lightly touch your... Oh. Foul! Gross! Don't make me read that! The kiss on the forehead is fine. It's everything after the fact. That's bad. Ew. The breath got you... the breath got caught in your throat. You remembered to breathe, blood rushing to your face, turning your skin a deep red. Trying to think about how hot you were feeling, because after everything that happened today, you were just grateful for the moment. For a while you stayed like that. Comfortable quiet fell before you, and the sun fell with it. The warming calm ended when Cove gasped sharply. He spun, half expecting to find him nursing an injury, but instead he found him staring straight ahead. What?
Oh my god.
I think my phone just vibrated. Do you want to check? Yeah? Fed his pockets, fumbling in his panic, and yanked the phone out. It was the action it nearly catapulted the device out of his grip entirely, but he caught it just in time. His eyes honed in on the screen. It's Terry! Thank God she says she's sorry. He looked back at you, eyes wide as his nerves started to fray once more. What should I say? Give it a second, I need to think. Sorry. Cove's intense stare went from you to the small message. His mouth and brow pitched in remorse. He hadn't meant to put all his stress onto you. His thumb trembled as hovering over the screen, and then Cove's phone buzzed further. It's Terry again. She's talking to us. She asked about what Miranda said, but wait. He leaned in, watching the conversation unfold on Cove's screen.
Right.
She's gonna actually call. Cove held his breath as you waited. Though he was good with people, he'd never been at ease managing conflict. His phone rang out. Cove jammed the answer button, his reflexes instantaneous. He switched the phone into speaker mode, allowing you to participate in the conversation. Despite his immediate reaction, his voice lacked the same resolve when he spoke. Hey. He was tentative, a white flag fluttering in the wind. Viola's here too. Hi.
Hey.
Hey, buddies. Terry's voice was barely recognizable, without her usual quick patter and energy.
Are you okay?
Everything's okay? No, probably not. Cove tensed, his free hand coiling into an anxious fist. Can you talk to us about what happened? Don't you know already? Miranda explained some of it, but it doesn't make sense to us. You heard Terry sigh over the phone as she unburdened herself. Pretty much, I was at Randy's house. We decided to watch some movies she super liked that I'd never even seen before. Turns out there were lots of those. Watched one, then another, then another. We're having so much fun. Each time one finished, she had another one to share with me. I didn't really think about the time. I only wanted to say yes to Randy and watch her movies. She spoke wistfully, but her words were full of affection. It was Randy, you know. I wasn't thinking about my schedule or what time it was. Yeah. And then when I saw the time and oh no, it was already late. I already knew I couldn't stay. She took a deep breath, her voice becoming softer as she resumed talking. I was so stressed out. I just couldn't deal with it. Miranda wanted to help. She kept coming up with ways to make it better and trying to figure out why I was so upset and stuff. I was trying to answer her questions, but there were so many. But I couldn't really answer all of them. I didn't even know how many... Oh, I didn't even know why some of her ideas didn't work with me. It made my head ache. I still had the first problem, and Randy there trying to help me, blasting all these questions and suggestions at me faster than I could even think. She gulped audibly, sniffling. I got frustrated and told her to just leave me alone. But then she wanted to talk about why I wanted that, and then we started having a fight in the kitchen. I woke Randy's dad up. We told him about how I wanted to go home, but my parents couldn't get me, so Mr. GamesRHard offered to do it. Oh. I accepted because I definitely couldn't stay then, not after throwing a racket and turning it into a big deal. But I feel awful and embarrassed. Why did I yell at Randy and hurt her feelings? And I made her dad lose sleep by waking him up and having to drive me home. What do you say after that? I have no idea. I don't know where to start. And I don't want to make it worse by saying the wrong thing and fighting again. So I'm not talking. Terry, Randy isn't mad that you don't want her to stay the night or that you fought. She just wants to feel like you can still talk to her. I mean, you can say whatever you want, she'll listen. Not talking to her at all is pretty much the only wrong way to go about it. Terry lamented mournfully on the other end of the line. But he had a point. Unless she faced Miranda again, there would be no resolution. He looked at Cove, hunched over the phone, staring pensively into it and searching for a solution. This couldn't be solved with another key party missing. But what if you brought them in? The phone was still free. Suggested calling up Miranda now. I could call Miranda. You could talk to her with us. Cove brightened up. The concern furrow on his brow, which had taken root when Miranda first called, eased.
Well,
That could work. Terry, are you up for it? She made a noise that wasn't a word, but nevertheless conveyed her hesitation and worry. But she brought it to a close with a decisive exhale, as if pushing all negative thoughts from her body. That'll do it. Cove nodded. Now that you received approval from everybody, you pulled out your phone and called Miranda. You set it to the speaker and waited for her to pick up. Luckily, she did.
Hi.
Hi, Viola. Her voice was still distant, as if her thoughts were elsewhere. But it was loud enough for your needs. Hi, you're on speaker. Terry's on speaker too, on Cove's phone. Oh. She paused while she digested this information. She watched the phone screen, hoping that she wouldn't hang up as a result.
Really?
Oh, really? Yep, it's really me. Can you hear my voice all the way from your house to theirs and then mine? I can. You and Cove exchanged looks, waiting for the wall between them to break, and wondering who would be the one to do it. The quiet dragged on. He caught Cove chewing his cheek. He must have weighed up the same question as you, whether to encourage the conversation along or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. The answer came in the form of one sniff followed by another from Cove's phone. Sorry, Randy, I hope you still like me. What? You're the one acting as if you didn't like me. Her tone was defensive, but as a result of her wounds from last night still being raw. No way, everybody likes Randy. You're wonderful. Your eyes met Cove's, his phone tilted toward you, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping that the signal was strong enough to convey every nuance of tone. Cove did likewise, bring his cell right next to yours, even bumping against it as he shifted his grip. I don't know what else to say. That's the only reason I wouldn't talk to you. If I had known the answer, I would have told you right away. Miranda murmured on the other end of the line. You didn't want to stay. Anything I tried to do bothered you. You could have told me you didn't know. Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I did a dumb thing and I didn't want help with it. I wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. It made me keep doing dumb things. Oh. When she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender and vulnerable as the words.
I'm sorry.
This thing of late watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it. That's what I thought anyway. But I should have given you space. Sorry for being so pushy and sensitive. Hardly. Miranda Eckert having a flaw? I've never heard of such a crazy thing. Miranda let out a ghost of a giggle. Cove cleared his throat. Maybe we should call each other now? Sorry. Can't do. Thanks for giving me the kick in the butt to do this already. Randy. Mandy. I'm gonna call you right now. Bye, Viola and Cove. She hung up after breathing in another quick bye. They were not giving you or Cove room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed, the noise tickling gently like wind chimes in the summer breeze.
You're really nice.
Thanks for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now so I can answer Terry's call. Bye. Bye and good luck. Bye. Miranda hung up, still chuckling softly as your call ended. The room felt emptier without other voices in it. Cove exhaled a sigh that crashed through the newly fallen silence. He dropped his arms to his sides, letting his head hang down like a puppet at rest. Thank God. We were content now that Cove seemed at ease again. Cove scratched at his face, his expression cloudy. And I think I need to find better ways of dealing with conflict because that was awful. You did okay given the current circumstances. Cove meekly smiled and as he rubbed his eyes, weariness creeping over him. He mumbled his next words. We can talk about it another day. Conflict resolution methods?
Huh?
Huh? Oh no, forget it. Your eyebrows rose and then a light bulb went off over your head. Poor Miranda called. Didn't you say there was something you wanted to say? Cove's original visit had been thrown so off kilter that it was a struggle to wind your memory back to when he first turned up. Now you did, though. You remembered that he had been perky when he had arrived this afternoon. Was it good news? Cove brushed his hand against his now folded arms shyly. Oh, well, yeah, maybe. Not exactly if it counts as news or even good. It's just... is what it is, and I'm happy about it, though. We're never going to be the one to push someone else to talk when they seem what was the word? Reticent? It's okay, but it sounds good. Cove chuckled awkwardly, a hand creeping up to ruffle the hair on the back of his head. It's fine. If you want to hear, I can tell you. He shifted on his feet, as if a different posture might give him the support he needed for the conversation. I don't want to make it a big deal, but I just know what it is. Stop it. I don't want to talk about that. Oh, a real subject change, huh? He chuckled. True, it was unexpected. You're excited that Cove had come to understand himself more, and glad he wanted to share that with you. Rubbed your hand softly, and with your breath straightening up. I am Demi. Oh, cool! You know, for the most time, I don't really have those kinds of feelings, physical wants and stuff. It's only in some certain situations, when I'm already really emotionally and romantically connected with someone, that I start to ever think about anything like that. And it's only with them. I haven't heard the term until pretty recently, and it just made a lot of sense. Once I knew what it meant, I had a word that fit how I feel.
Yeah.
And I'm pan-romantic. Ooh. Because I've never had a preference or a specific gender or anything. So yeah. You nodded as he spoke, completely understanding how he'd come to that conclusion. Cove looked down at the floor, being so open and direct about a matter that personal, which you were sure he'd spent a long time trying to figure out, seemed kind of weird for him. Despite that, there was a small, proud smile on his face, and when he looked up, his gaze was steadfast. Felt proud of your boyfriend, too. All this talk of Cove's ness made you reflect about your own. You guys evolved since you were younger. You had romantic attraction in specific cases. Specifically, when it came to how you felt toward men. Physically interested, but you were very happy with a romantic relationship with Cove. Attractive. Toward women. When physically interested, were you happy to have a romantic relationship? I think probably the same. Not physically. You told Cove about your sexuality in the past. He had always been supportive on the topic, listening actively and supporting you in whatever conclusions you'd reached. It's heartwarming that he had reached a point where he felt similarly capable of discussing his own. He felt his tiredness deep in the marrow of your bones. It had been a tiring day. Now everything was neatly wrapped up, for today at least, and you had earned a rest. You'd had some good talks and came out of it not knowing each other better, but yourself too.
Hey.
Hey, we should probably head downstairs soon. Your moms are still waiting for everybody to get together. Oh, that's right. With your new spring in your step, you led your way out of your room. You got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting.
Hi.
Hello. Hey. Good to see both of you.
Hey!
Hey. Here you were. Oh, here we were trying to corral everybody into a group. You two were already upstairs this whole time. Of course we were together. You paid Viola to stick with me, or did you forget? The statement was meaningless to your family. We looked at each other for answers in vain. Mr. Holden, who got the message loud and clear, seemed embarrassed. He chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Ouch, son. You always know when to remind me of that. Uh-huh. I can't let you live it down. Can we hear exactly what this secret is? This suspense is killing us. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. I forgot they didn't know.
Right.
Alright. I better get everybody up to speed. He held up his hands, palms out, pacifying his audience, or perhaps holding them up as a shield in advance. First I met Viola, I was worried about Cove being alone for the summer.
Well...
There aren't a lot of kids around, and he wasn't exactly on the best terms with me at that time. When I surrounded the family, gauging their responses. I felt that this was my one shot, so I offered her $20 to be friends with Cove, and added that she couldn't tell him about it. Liz gasped. Mom was staring incredulously at Mr. Holden, while Mom's eyebrows had retreated to her hairline. You and Cove, already knowing the story, were the only ones unaffected. After a while, I really did honestly forget it ever happened. He raised his hands higher, now level with his shoulders. Not a bad idea, you thought. If Mom felt inclined to throw a cushion at him, he could probably manage to block it in time. I know that's bad, but I had so many grand ideas over the years. It's hard to keep track of all of them. Cove smiled, placing his hands on his hips and shaking his head at his father's antics.
Seriously?
I can't believe you. Though also, I totally can. The moments were less indulgent. The shock had ebbed away to displeasure. Mom's foot was tapping repeatedly as she frowned at the next door neighbor, while her arms crossed over her chest with her lips pursed. Sorry, Viola. I'm sorry to your parents, too. It was way out of bounds. Don't worry about it. Everything worked out. not with Mom. Oh no. Mom's about to kill you. Your moms gave each other that look, where they seemed to communicate with eyes alone. Alright, well, that's that then. It won't happen again.
Absolutely.
It definitely won't.
Alright.
Good. It was a little surprising that they were letting him off the hook. But on the other hand, it was a long time ago now, and you were sure your moms remembered those painfully early days of Cove's arrival too. And Holden wasn't a potential bad influence anymore, so a lecture would be pretty moot. Instead, your ma gave him a lenient smile.
In that case,
Now that's settled. Why don't we find something to do? Until agreement cascaded through the group in a couple waves at the suggestion. Holden's shoulders slumped with a release of tension. He brought his hands down, tucking them away in his pockets. How about cards? There's a murmur of interest from the others. Play along with the others. Mr. Group was eager to play, but Mr. Holden was demurring.
Nah.
I think I'll sit this one out. What's the fun in that? Join in. We're not too angry with you. Yes, and I know there's a lot of people, but we can make it work. Mr. Holden shrunk into himself, embarrassed by their intention. Dad, you love playing cards. We do it at our house all the time. He piped up a bit to back up what Cove was saying. Yeah, I've seen that too. Dad. Mr. Holden broke under the combined force of everyone's attention. Cove and Viola, you're adults now. You deserve to know the truth. I used to throw the card game so you could win. put up a good fight, but I always made sure to lose a lot more rounds than I won. He tore at the end of his ponytail, clearly distressed at the second great secret he was revealing today. No people want to be taken seriously, and fake ones don't mean much, but I couldn't help myself. It's so much better when everyone else got a chance to be victorious. Kyra knew and went along with it. Cove laughed at disbelief that this was a thing his dad stressed about hiding. After all the other stunts he'd pulled over the years. So what? Let the parents do it. I guessed it, sure. But though looking back, it makes sense. That's right, what's the big deal, Cliff? You can finally take the kids' gloves off and make them run for their money. Maybe even actual money in your case. Mr. Holden smiled coyly, his gaze lowering. I'm sure that's a good idea. And why not? He rubbed his hands expensively, the movement fluid and vague. It's just, actually, I'm something of a card shark. I used to make lots of fast cash off games. Casual players wouldn't have a shot unless it's a game of pure luck. Cove's jaw hung open, his wide eyes fixed on his father. Really? Such of amazement, even admiration nestled among the shock. The other members of the Bell family exchanged looks, ranging from Liz's disbelief to Mom's intrigue, with Ma somewhere in the middle between the two. You can't simply make that claim like that and expect us to go along with it. Let's see you back it up, Shark Man. Sir Holden gave her a crooked smile, his demureness quickly being replaced with the confidence of someone very skilled or very misguided. You sure about that? Definitely. We're gonna see this so-called non-casual player in action. Well, I might be able. Though who knows, maybe I've gotten rusty. His coyness continued to rile the gang up, and he was getting a kick out of it now.
Please?
Come on, please.
Alright.
Alright, dust off the old tricks. Clapped your hands. Cove beamed at his father while Ma clapped Mr. Holden on the back. Liz started off to get a deck of cards while the rest of you settled in for the game. Hands were dealt. Holden wasted no time proving his words true, wiping the floor with all of you. Played several rounds, even switching games, but none of you were a match for him. That was how the alliance came to be forged. The rest of you joined forces against Mr. Holden, only just to try increasing the odds of beating him. With your combined efforts, you pulled away a few victories, yet it was still a challenge. He was clearly a professional. These were his skills now, rusty in disuse. You couldn't even imagine what a deadly opponent he would have been in the past. Despite that, you still had fun. Working cooperatively actually fostered a sense of camaraderie with the others. Mr. Holden didn't appear fazed by this strategy. You actually wondered whether the increased challenge made it more interesting for him. Spent the rest of the afternoon together with your family and the Holdens, having fun. It was an interesting evening for sure, with many discoveries for everybody. It was fraying yet stimulating. You feel more tied together than you ever had before. God, these ones are taking a while. You grow up, more shit happens. Let's go to charity. Cove pushed himself to his feet from where he had bent down in the sand, stretching out his back and groaning. A tired breath slipped past his lips as he wiped his brow, looking out over the shore. Looks great. He stood beside him, joining in the surveying of the sand that almost seemed to sparkle beneath the midday sun. The two of you were at the beach since sunrise, cleaning up and down the beach, looking for various debris, and the work had paid off. Using a hand to shield your eyes from blinding rays, you glanced across the way where the other volunteers from ORCA were gathered. They were easily recognizable by the high-vis vests they wore. It looked as though everyone was ready to wrap things up for the day. Pretty great, Cove. Beach looks better than I've seen it in ages. Could have done it without you. And the other volunteers too, obviously. We did a pretty good job, didn't we? He shared a smile, relieved as soon as you were able to take a break, but feeling proud of what you had accomplished. He placed his hands on his hips, a pleased grin across the corners of his mouth as he admired the work you had both done. You had begun to realize during your time volunteering at the organization how seriously Cove took his service. It was easy to see that it was something important to him. It was important that the ocean you grew up with was protected. It had always been a big part of your life, and you felt that the least you could do is give back to it in some way. It's been a good year so far. It's crazy to think that it's already time to push the big event. Let out a big breath, thinking of the formal dinner that ORCA organized every year. Being a completely fundraising-focused event for large donors, it was crucial for the organization's projects in the year to come. You had to be over 18 to attend, so this was your first opportunity to actually see it in person. All you had heard about it so far was that it's a prim and proper occasion, with speeches and everything. You didn't know what else to expect from it, as you weren't a part of the group who planned the event. Before the big night came around, the volunteers would have to sell the tickets for it, and that's where you'd be helping. Nervous about the event. You look down at the sand shyly, twisting your fingers together. It's going to be fancy and full of very important strangers. I could agree with you there. Part of the program, though.
I mean...
I just don't feel excited about attending a super formal meal with proper etiquette and stuff, you know? He threw his arms out to the side, making a bit of a show how ridiculous it seemed to him. I've got sand all over my room. The only nice shirt... and only one nice shirt, and I go barefoot pretty much wherever I can. I'm gonna be so out of place. Something that fancy will make it fun. How often you get a chance to dress up nice and eat expensive meal? Cove chuckled and shook his head at your amusement. A small beeping noise came from Cove's pants pocket, and he pulled it out and glanced at the screen. Huh? The organizers, they sent a group text and call it a day here. Oh, cool. Cove tucked his cell away eagerly, turning to you. Let's head over and drop the trash bags off of the trucks. Then we can drive back and join the ticket team. We've gotta be there pretty soon to relieve them. With a stretch of shore this long, the plan was to switch places with the other team who had been pushing for tickets for the fundraiser dinner halfway through. It had been a full day of work, but it was ORCA's largest event of the year, and all hands were on deck to make sure it was a success. Raise your hand for a high five. His palm slapped soundly against yours, and he smiled at you crookedly. You collected the trash bags and spread along the way together, heading across the beach to hoist them into the trucks before heading off to the next job. Cove slipped his warm hand into yours and intertwined your fingers, going back to the car side by side. The drive back to your neighborhood and making your way to the shopping street was fairly quick, though Cove stressed a lot about being late. Luckily, he was able to find a parking spot nice and close to where you needed to be. You jumped out of the car and quickly went toward where you knew the group would be. Finally reached the stall that was set up to sell tickets. You stopped for a moment to catch your breath. There was quite a flurry of activity. For your job for the rest of the afternoon to help sell tickets for the fundraising event. And looking around the street, you saw that there were plenty of potential buyers out today. They would hopefully help move the tickets along. The stall itself was simple. A portable table with a few plush sea animals as decoration and a banner stuck across the front. There were two volunteers who were already packing up and getting ready to head off to the beach. They gave both of you a friendly smile as you arrived. Hi Cove, Viola. How do things go at the beach?
Not bad.
It was good. The place is looking great. We're lucky to get 2 for 1 when it comes to you guys. Cove cleared his throat awkwardly from beside you when you notice his cheeks flushing pink. Come on, we're not that clingy with each other. You left it off. We're always happy to be of service. Or we're happy to have you around. You seemed to relax a little bit more after that, giving the volunteers a small smile. Volunteers made a room for you in Cove behind the table while they circled around the front of it. Thanks for coming in for a shift. We'd better make this quick so we can head off to the next place. No problem, what do you need us to do? You nodded, gave a small smile to show that you were listening. One of the volunteers handed you a clipboard with all the details needed to sell tickets, while the other tossed a set of keys to Cove, which he caught with ease. These are for the money box and supply kit. Make sure to keep them on you at all times. Aside from handling the cash for the tickets, there's also a form on the clipboard for the guests to fill in their info. That way we can know how many tickets we've sold and who will be attending the event. There's a small script beneath that if you're stuck on what to say, and that's about it. Pretty simple, huh? I think we got this. Satisfied that you knew what you were doing, the volunteers said their goodbyes. They started walking away, leaving you and Cove to manage this all alone. The keys jingling in his hand as Cove waved at them before he stuffed them in his pocket of his pants for safekeeping. He gave a small wave goodbye as they left. As the volunteers were outside, Cove dropped down into a chair behind the counter with a sigh. He made he was just in time. It's cool he traded places with nothing happening. They might have been late getting to cleanup duty. He leaned back in his seat, getting fully comfortable in the space, and then gave you a small smile. Stayed standing. Clipboard in hand, you thought it might make you look more approachable with people headed down the street. Still going wrong. Let's just rest in one spot. We've got this under control. Look at how well we did with the beach cleanup. I'm sure this will be a piece of cake. Cove grinned wider, his gaze pleased as he smiled at you. I like the way you think. Cove rummaged around the station a little, picking up the stuffed toy Orca and holding it out in front of his face. You had to admit it was pretty cute, with his big bulging eyes and oversized flippers. Sitting back down the table, top of the table, Cove moved to check out the rest of the stall, finding a cooler stashed beneath the table. He pulled it out and opened the lid. You can see it was filled with half-melted ice cubes and half a dozen water bottles. Having one of the plastic bottles, he unscrewed the cap and took a long drink. He watched the condensation running along the side and onto his fingers.
So?
Do you want one? He set his water on his side of the table before pulling out another and pulling it toward you. Accepted the water bottle. Thanks. After opening it, you took a drink and let out a satisfied sigh. You hadn't realized how thirsty you had been, and it's always good to stay hydrated. The two of you had got settled in easily, and you took the chance to look over the paperwork on the clipboard. Cove joined you, leaning over your shoulder to try to get a better look. Pretty standard stuff. He muttered and you nodded quietly. Had general info about the event and the work you needed to do at the stall, as well as the amount of tickets sold thus far and the number remaining. Cove tapped a finger on the counter as he read quietly over the notes, muttering a few things now and then that you didn't fully hear. He seemed content to be there, and you were sure the afternoon would pass by quickly. He had glanced off toward the crowd and made a small sound, while his line of sight at the potential supporter was on their way over to the booth. Felt anxious. It was time to do customer service. It wasn't always easy for you to do things like this, especially when those things required talking to strangers. But you had to remind yourself that you were doing it for a reason. Took a deep breath, made eye contact with the customer, and gave them a small smile. Time passed as the two of you maintained the stall. As people approached, your sales pitch would either have them asking for a ticket or two. Or heading off mumbling, maybe next time. All in all, you managed to sell a decent amount of tickets. We could tell that Cove was happy with that outcome. As the afternoon drifted along, 6 p.m. arrived. Time to pack everything up and head home for the evening. Your work with ORCA was far from over, but right now, there was only one thing left to focus on: attending the actual event. The days continued in a normal flow, and before long, the night of the ORCA fundraising dinner was upon you. It was early evening, and you were in your room getting ready as the minutes ticked closer and closer toward the time you need to leave. Privacy, so you locked yourself away. So you pick out an outfit. Both of them, why not? You're currently in the midst of picking an outfit, which Liz was helping you with, while Cove gave his input on the phone. Of course, Cove couldn't really see the items you and Liz were choosing between, but he was trying to help all the same. The event had strict guidelines, and you wouldn't be let in unless you addressed a code. Hold on, my cat's being stupid. Every time I try to record, she is present and accounted for, ruining everything. That meant having to find a truly professional outfit, but one that you were happy with. I want to be practical about it. It was going to be quite a long evening, and you wanted to make sure you were dressed comfortably, while still sticking to the letter of the code. Your nose wrinkled at thought as you rifled through your options, silently weighing the pros and cons of each.
That's fine.
You don't need to get too in your head thinking about the look, but you do need to hurry up and pick something. Whatever you go with, it'll be great. And if I see the day Cove Holden would encourage me to wear something formal. A quiet chuckle came from the phone. You smiled at the sound. Yeah, this really is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Taking a deep breath to and focus yourself, you looked over your options one last time. It's time to set an outfit and quick. Button-down shirt and pants. Blouse and pants. Ooh! Probably blouse and pants, actually. Lid nodded in approval, clapping her hands together in satisfaction.
Good.
Finally, we're making some progress. Sounds like it'd be totally fine. I'm wearing just a shirt with buttons and slacks, personally. Standing in front of your mirror, you quietly assess your outfit. You thought about adding an accessory or two. You need a little something extra to finish it off. Rummaging through the rest of your wardrobe, you picked out what you needed to complete the outfit. Pair of earrings. You hurried to put on a pair of earrings that match your outfit, aware that time was running short. And let's go with a watch. Grab your watch from the bedside table, you fastened it to your wrist and quickly checked the time. It's almost time to go. That's really all I need, right? Because we have a blouse, pants, a watch, and earrings. That should be fine. I think we're good. And with that, to make up or not to make up, that is the question. We don't have time. We don't want to be late. We're ready to go. Finally, we're dressed. It had all come together. Right, I gotta change my shirt and then I'll be in the car. See you in a minute. Looked over at Liz again. She had a confused smile pulling at her lips. You look very nice, Viola. blushed and smiled with compliment. Seeing a glance in the mirror, you knew the outfit you had picked was the right choice. Liz wiped a pretend tear away with her fingers, sniffling dramatically. Oh, Princess Viola, you're already all grown up. It happened in the blink of an eye, when I wasn't even looking. She chuckled to herself, nudging you toward the door.
Alright.
Well, time to go downstairs. You're very official. Though still kind of a baby. Boyfriend awaits you. Get out! I'm gonna end the episode here because I have to yell at my cat. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you later.